Nutrition Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Yeah, welcome back to Agri Science class. I'm still Mr. Samuel, and we now move to SS2 topics. The first one we are considering there is the plant nutrients and nutrient cycle. Plant nutrients and nutrient cycle. What are plant nutrients? When we say nutrient, plant nutrient refers to the food, the minerals that the plants obtain from the soil, which can be used for building of the body cells, for growth, for formation of fruits in their body system. Plant nutrients are very essential, just like animal food is essential to the animals or meal to man. Most of the nutrients we get or the plants require or use are gotten from the soil. It's not the fact that they're able to manufacture certain food from the atmosphere, from the use of sunlight and carbon dioxide and the chloroplast, but they still need certain nutrients from the soil. These nutrients are made available to the crops in solution form. That's why we call such mineral salts. Mineral salts. Or the minerals can first of all come in form of element. We call it mineral element. Now, these minerals are of two types. We have what we call macro minerals and micro minerals. Macro minerals are also called macronutrients. Macro means large. So macro minerals could also be regarded as the major or essential nutrients which the plant require. Examples of them are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and sulfur. Now, these minerals will be available to crops in the soil in solution form, which we call mineral salts. Whenever the end of this macro minerals is lacking in the soil, the plant will suffer certain diseases known as deficiency diseases, or we call it malnutritional disease. The word mal means bad, bad nutritional diseases. So for the crops to suffer these diseases, the farmer must make every effort to be sure that these nutrients are available. If they are not available, he makes sure he added them to the soil by applying fertilizer to the soil, by applying manure to the soil, by liming the soil, by controlling erosion. He does or controlling leaching. All these efforts must be made so that these minerals could be retained in the soil and crops could perform well. Apart from macro minerals, we call it what we call the micro. The other one was macro. This one is micro. Micro means small, like microorganism, small organism. So micro minerals are minerals. Not that those minerals are too small, but the crops require them in small quantity. It's just like the portion of your salt to your rice. You take big rice, but put small salt there. So also the micro minerals are required in very small quantities. That's why we also call them minor minerals, or we could call them trace minerals. Examples, if you offer chemistry in your school, examples of micro minerals are what we call transitional elements between your group 2 and 3, like your scandium, vanadium, copper, iron, zinc, molybdenum. All those are transitional elements. So most of those ones, they are required in smaller quantities. And examples are zinc, copper, iron, boron, molybdenum, chlorine, and manganese. They are required by plant, but in very little proportion. Now, whenever any of these micro minerals is lacking in the soil, the effect is not immediately felt. The animal don't immediately suffer it. And if you want to add the micro mineral to the soil, you may do it through a method known as foliar spray. Foliar spray. But if you want to have put the macro minerals to the soil, they must not touch the body of the plant. So you put them in form of ring hole or sand band placement, or sometimes broadcasting method before the crops are planted. Okay, now let's look at the factors that can influence nutrient availability in the soil. The factors that influence nutrient availability in the soil. If you are going to have good nutrients in your soil, if the nutrient in the soil is going to be enough for crops to do well. The first one is soil pH. I have defined soil pH at the initial topics in SS1. I told you that the pH is the degree of alkalinity or acidity of a substance. So soil pH is telling you if the soil is acidic in nature or is alkaline in nature based on the nutrient and the chemical composition of the soil. Majorly, crops do better under alkaline condition. If the soil is acidic, that means low pH of less than 7. Then some of these minerals will be trapped in the soil, will not be released to the crops. Nutrients are released to the crops majorly when the soil is alkaline, any pH greater than 7 or neutral, pH of 7. Now, concentration of other nutrients. Now, the soil has a pool of nutrients, and from one place to another, the pool of nutrients differs in concentration. Some area will be concentrated by nitrogen. Oh, this soil, the nitrogen is too much there. In other soil, it may be copper. In other one, it may be magnesium, it may be calcium, it may be sulfur. The concentration of a particular, too much concentration of a particular nutrient can affect the availability of that nutrient. So, if a particular nutrient is so concentrated in the soil, the crops will have more of such nutrient uptake, and it can lead to become toxic, poisonous to the crops. Meanwhile, the other nutrients that are there in little quantity may not be readily available for crops. So, but if the nutrients are in a mild concentration, are in almost at parity, or all of them are there in good quantity, then it is very easy for crops to pick the nutrients that it desires out of the plenty and to do well. The next one is leaching. Leaching is the washing down of soil nutrients below the root zones. This is very common on the sandy soil. When rain falls, nutrients are mixed with water. And then when the water now percolates into the earth and go down below the area where the roots of crops can get to, the water will not only go down, but the nutrients will be forced down as well. Leaching is washing down of soil nutrients deep into the soil where the roots of crop cannot reach. This thing can affect availability of nutrients. Next is crops removal. Crops removal talks about harvesting. Anytime you grow plants or crops on the farmland, that crop takes nutrients, take the macro and micro minerals from the soil and use it to form fruits. The soil or the land will be expecting the day when that crop will die and return the nutrients for the nutrient to circulate. But the farmer goes there and harvests the crops and take them away. Harvesting of crops equals to harvesting of nutrients. That's why continuous cropping will make the soil to deplete. So, crops removal by harvesting will reduce organic matter in the soil. That's why when the farmer cultivates the land this year, next year, and the year that follow, the nutrient will be decreasing, because by harvesting, by crop removal, he has taken away the nutrient of the soil. And that's the essence why the farmer must return nutrient to the soil by fertilizer application or by manuring. Okay, let's look at the fourth one: oxidation and reduction of organic matter. Organic matter is very useful in the soil, but sometimes there's some reaction that will occur to organic matter, and the organic matter will not be available to crops. This is called oxidation and reduction. This reaction, redox reaction of organic matter, can trap organic matter to the soil and can make it unavailable for crops uptake. Burning. I have told you that burning is not good. Bush burning is bad. But you only say in grass, when you grow grass, if it's a natural grass, it's good to burn it because there will be tillers. But when you have your farmland, you clear the bush. You can clear the bush and gather the thing you cleared and burn it. That's good. But if you set the whole bush ablaze, because you don't want to do the stress of clearing the bush with cutlass or with plow, so you set it ablaze. Yes, you get a good work done. Everything will be burnt, but you have equally destroyed and burnt the macro flora and the macro fauna. The animal and plant living in the soil are burnt. All the animals that are doing the work of the composition of organic matter recycling nature in the soil, adding fertility to the soil, will be made dead, and the plants that you grow will not have sufficient organic matter. So bush burning should be eradicated. Bush burning hinders good quality of nutrient to be in the soil. Next one is soil texture. The soil texture, I've taught you soil texture in SS1 when we talk about that soil texture is degree of coarseness or fineness of the soil. And we talk about sandy soil, clay soil, loamy soil. Now, the texture of the soil can also influence the organic matter and the rate at which water is retained in the soil. Water is also necessary for cross uptake and to dilute the nutrients and make them to available for crops. When the soil texture is so large and so gritty and sharp and porous as in sandy soil, it leads to bleaching and it leads to erosion. The soil nutrient will be washed away. But if the soil texture is moderately fine and the soil is loamy, the water will be moderately retained and the organic matter will be retained. So soil texture plays a role too. Then erosion. Erosion is close to leaching. Erosion is the washing away of topsoil alongside with organic matter. Leaching is even better than erosion because leaching is washing down. Maybe one day the nutrient will come up, but erosion is washing away out of the farmland the organic matter on the surface of the land. This is very common during rainy season, and it's very common on a land that is very steepy. So running water will just wash away the soil nutrient. When that happens, then the soil will lack nutrient, the crops will not grow very well. Another one is soil moisture content. Soil moisture content talks about amount of water in the soil. When the water in the soil is so little that there's not even water, like as in dry season, then the soil becomes too much alkaline that crops cannot grow. And in that wise, organic matter in the soil will not be able to readily be released to the crops. And when the water is so much that the soil is waterlogged, then all the air space in the soil would have been depleted and replaced by water. The soil becomes acidic and crops nutrient is trapped. What do? You do drainage. If it's during dry season, you do irrigation. Water is necessary in the soil. It must not be too much as to become flooded. It must not be too low as to become so dried. Now, last one is level of organic matter in the soil. Level of organic matter in the soil can also influence the nutrient availability. The level of organic matter in the soil is also determined by the activities of soil-living organisms and by the activities of man. Maybe man has imported refuse into the place, and you put the household food items that are left pouring into the place. The organic matter will be increasing. Or maybe there are some decomposers there. Decomposed animals and dead leaves. The organic matter in that area will be increasing. So the organic matter level of the soil can aid or assist in macro minerals coming to the soil. Okay, let's move. Let's look at the methods that we can practice to replenish soil nutrients. In other words, if the soil has lost its nutrients, now the process by which soil loses its nutrients is called soil depletion. Can you repeat that? Yes, soil depletion. Soil depletion. Soil depletion is a situation whereby the soil has lost parts or all of its essential nutrients due to bad farm practices. Now, when the soil is depleted or soil has lost some of its nutrients, how can we replenish? To replenish means to make the soil to regain its nutrients. These are things we can do. The first one is called crops rotation. Crops rotation. I've explained crop rotation under cropping system in SS1, where I told you that you can have a 4-year rotational plan on which you grow crops in a particular sequence or order so as to conserve the soil fertility, and you must follow certain rules. Deep rooted must not follow each other. Shallow rooted crops must not follow each other. Crops of the same family must not follow each other. So when all these are done and carefully followed, the nutrient to be building. Crop rotation helps to build the soil fertility. Number 2, organic manuring. Organic manuring. What do you mean by organic manuring? The word manuring means to add manure to the soil. Now, the word organic means from living things, from plant and animal things. Then we have what we call inorganic. Inorganic means manuring that we put to the soil that is not from living things. These ones are chemical prepared in the laboratory or in industries, which when you put to the soil can aid the nutrient formation. But let's look at the organic manuring. For organic manuring, there are 3 types of them. We have to call the grey manure. You have to call the farmyard manure. You have to call the compost manure. 3 types of organic manuring: the farmyard manure, the grey manure, the farmyard manure, and the compost manure. Now, the green manure, I've explained green manure in SS1. What does it mean? It means the act of planting certain leguminous crop the act of planting certain leguminous crop on the farmland before you plant your actual crop. This leguminous crop you plant on the farmland will later, after it has grown to about 10 centimeters to 6 centimeters in length, or about between 1 month to 1.5 months, then the crops will be cut and will be turned into the soil. We all normally use plow to work on it. When we plow it into the soil, the plow will roll it with the soil. That means the green manure, the organic, the legume crops we planted will be decaying. As they are decaying, they'll be adding nutrients to the soil. Then we plant the crop we wanted to plant. For example, let's assume that I want to plant maize on my farm and I want to use green manure. The first thing I'm going to do is that I will plant the manure plant. The manure crops are leguminous crops like Centrosema, Poraria, Calabogonium, like we taught in SS1, or like cowpea, maize, and cowpea, granite. So when you plant this on the farmland and they are germinating, after about a month, 1.5 months, I will plow them to the soil. I allow them to decay to the soil. Then I plant my maize. As the legume crop that I plow to the soil will be decaying, to be becoming nutrient for my maize crop that I planted. Now, we are still on compost manure now. Farmyard manure. So like I did mention, farmyard refers to the animal, the house on the farm, and all the waste that are produced there. This waste include the bedding material of animal house. The bedding material means all the sawdust, all the grass that are put in the animal house, where animal defecate and urinate, and the remnant of the food that are spilled on the ground. Everything will be packed together, will be put in a sack, and the tip will be tied, will be left in a shade. This thing will be decomposing, producing terrible stench. And as it's decomposing, we allow it to stay for weeks. Then we take it to the farmland. We pour it on the ground of the farmland. This thing we dissociate to the soil and add manure to the soil. But we must make sure that none of this material touch the body of the plant. If it does, the plant will also decompose. Okay, good. Let's go to compost manure. The word compost means composition, bringing different things together to become one. So for compost manure, it means that the farmer will make effort to bring animal food, animal excrement, to bring some sand, to bring some lime, to bring everything. You bring different things together and put them in a pit. And then with grasses, then he allows it to stay for some times. He turns it and then it takes to his farmland. While turning it, to make sure that the thing has fully formed compost, he put a stick. That stick is called tester. He will check the stick up every week initially, then every day later. If the stick is hot or warm, it shows the compost is going on, the work of the compost is going on. If the stick is cold or is not even, the temperature is not warm, it's not any way referring to it being there, then it shows there's no decomposition, the process has failed. But you need to understand the steps to take in making compost. The step to take in making compost is quite very, very easy. There are two ways to do it. The compost manure can be prepared in two ways. You have what we call the stack method, or what we call the pit method. The method I explained earlier, that was the stack method. That is, the farmer will just dig a pit, only one pit. You put everything inside, all the compost material he has prepared, put inside, and then you will leave it for some weeks, like 4 weeks. You will now do it for stick and put it there to test it to see if it is already decomposing and the compost is formed. If the stick is warm, it's an indication that the compost is being formed, the composition is taking place. If it's not warm, then the whole exercise is a failure. But the best method is the compost manure by pit method. Mind you, stack method is done in rainforest or in the area where you have too much rain. So the stack will be prepared inside a hole or a sack. But for pit method, it's often done in the north or in places where you do not have too much of rainfall. To do pit method of compost manure, we dig 7 pits, like I have shown on the board. You have AA. This AA are 4 pits. And then you put the compost material inside AA. how do we put the compost matter? What are the compost that we are going to put? How do we put it? The pit A's. The first thing you do, you put grasses, fresh or dry grasses. You put on the floor, and then you trample on it with your leg. Then animal excrements, bedding materials was put there. Bedding material means all the material you put on the floor of animals, you bring it, put on the floor. Then you put wood ash to introduce lime. You put wood ash there. Let me repeat it. Number 1, the grasses. Number 2, the animal excrement, including the bedding materials of animal house. Then wood ash. Then you put organic fertile soil. Fertile soil you put there to introduce the composters, which are bacteria. Then lastly, you put water, a little water, to make it moist, because the composition occur best under moist condition. If the pit is not filled, you repeat the process again. Grasses, animal excrement, including the bedding materials, and then wood ash, and then finally the garden soil, and then you water it. Then when it is filled, you allow it to stay for 2 weeks. So pit A, all the pit A will stay for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you turn A's to B's. All these 2 A's will come to this place. Then this B, A will come to this place. That's why you see that there's a mark. This point shows that the composition is already taking place. So as you take the compost from A to B, the pit A's will be left empty. You prepare fresh compost inside pit A's, which will mean that you are going to look for another set of grasses to put on the floor. Then you tramp it on your leg. You put animal excrement, including bedding material. Then you put wood ashes to introduce the lime. Then you put garden soil to introduce the decomposers, and you put it to water to make it moist. If it's not filled, you repeat it again. Then after 2 weeks, the one in B will be shifted to C. As the decomposition occurs, the compost material will be reducing in size. The decomposition will make it compact and make it to come down. So the 2 of them can take B. And then when you take B, the 2 B's will come to C. Meanwhile, A will come to B, and you prepare fresh materials in A's. After another 2 weeks, you move all of them are here. Another 2 weeks, this one in C would have been decomposed totally and take it to the farm. Let's see how many weeks that the compost will stay before, from the beginning to the end. You spend 2 weeks in A, then 2 weeks in B, 4 weeks, then 2 weeks in C, making 6 weeks. So at the end of these weeks, the content of C can be evacuated and used on the farm. Like I did mention for green manure and compost manure, when you prepare manure, the manure material must not touch the body of the plant, else it will burn it and destroy it. Good. Now, what other methods can we use to replenish soil nutrients? We have bush fallowing. I've explained bush fallowing under farming system. Farming system in SS1. Bush fallowing is a system whereby a farmer has 2 or 3 different plots of land at different places, and he farm a particular one for 2, 3, 4, 5 years until the nutrient is totally lost. Then he migrates to another land and work on it, and then migrate to another one. Later, he comes back to the original place where he has planted some years ago. That one will now grow to bush and will have recycled his nutrients. The number of years that he had left it is called fallowing period. He now comes back to it. Bush fallowing is also called land rotation, and this method is good because it allows the soil to naturally reclaim the nutrient it has lost during the following years. Cover cropping. Cover cropping is another method to replenish soil nutrient. What is cover cropping? This is out of planting crops that can creep, that can spread and flat on the soil to cover the surface of the soil and prevent direct scorching of the sunlight on the farmland, so that the water is not, the moisture is not dried up. And they also produce nutrient to the soil and manure when those cover cropping dies and decomposes the soil. The last one is liming. Liming is out of applying limes to the farmland to introduce soil acidity. There are about 3 or 4 types of limes. We have calcium carbonate. This is called limestone. You can add it to the soil, it will neutralize soil acidity. We have calcium oxide, this is called quicklime. You can add it to the soil, it neutralizes soil acidity. We have calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide. This is called slaked lime. This is called limestone, quicklime, slaked lime. All these are lime material. Then we have wood ash, it's lime material. We have dolomite, lime material. We have gypsum, lime material. We have calcites, something like that. So there are a lot of materials that are differently available. Which when you add to the soil, it will neutralize the soil acidity and it will release the nutrients that were trapped originally. Good. Those were methods to replenish soil nutrients. How do the crops lose the nutrients? Okay, this should have even come before this. How the soil lose nutrients? The lose nutrients by crop removal. I've mentioned that once you harvest your crops, you have equally harvested nutrients alongside with it. Leaching, I've mentioned that. Soil can lose nutrients by leaching. Washing down soil nutrients, we don't lose those. Erosion, washing away of topsoil with the nutrient. Soil can lose nutrients by erosion. pH, I said it, when the pH of the soil is too acidic or is too alkaline, crops will not be able to do well. Essence of other nutrients, I've said that. Prevention uptake, as well as oxidation and reduction of organic material, I've equally said that. Although the redox reaction can trap the organic material in the soil. All these are ways by which soil can lose the nutrients, and now these are the methods by which soil can regain the nutrients. But we have not mentioned inorganic manuring. Inorganic manuring is the process by which we apply prepared fertilizer on the farmland. Prepared fertilizers are those that are prepared in the laboratory or in the industries. These fertilizers are prepared to give one or more of the macronutrients. Example, major nutrients required in the land are these three: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And the substance prepared that can give them, that we can buy in the market and put on the farm, we call fertilizer. That means we have two types of these fertilizers. How many types of fertilizer? Two types of inorganic manuring or inorganic fertilizers. Two types. We are what we call the single or simple or straight fertilizers. We are what we call mixed. Mixed or complex or mixed, complex. That's another name we call it, fertilizer. So you can say mixed, you can say complex. Other one, three, but they mean the same thing. So example of single, simple, straight fertilizer, any of them is applicable, is the fertilizer or are the fertilizers that can only give you only one micro minerals on your farm. So if you apply fertilizer that can only give nitrogen, that's a simple or single or straight fertilizer. But if you apply fertilizer that can only give you phosphorus, the same thing, or calcium, copper, the same thing. But if fertilizer can give you nitrogen or phosphorus, there is a complex fertilizer or mixed fertilizer. If it can give you the three, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, it's also a mixed fertilizer or complex fertilizer or compound. Good. The third one is compound. Mixed, complex, compound fertilizer. So let's look at examples of simple or single fertilizer. Examples include number one, you are what to call the one that supply nitrogen to the soil, nitrogen fertilizer. Then you have the one that supplies phosphorus fertilizer. Then you have the one that supplies potassium fertilizer. Example of nitrogen fertilizer is urea. CO bracket NH3, and that's a formula combination like that. Or ammonium nitrate. Okay, ammonium nitrate is NH4, NO3. It gives you nitrogen. So any fertilizer that can give nitrogen alone is a straight fertilizer. Then we have another one for phosphorus. Example is what we call superphosphate, P2O3 or P2O5. This one can give us phosphorus on the farm. Then there's one that gives potassium. That one is KCl. KCl is called muriate of potash. Muriate of potash. All these are single fertilizers because each of them can only give you only one nutrient. But before you can apply this fertilizer, you must test the soil to ascertain the type of nutrient that is lacking. You don't have to test the soil. Just take a sample of your soil to the soil analyst in the lab, the soil department of any institution. Then they test it for you, they analyze it for you, they will discover the nutrient that is lacking. Then you go and buy the fertilizer that can give that nutrient. But if you are not sure, most of our farmers don't test soil, they are not sure. So what do? You go for compound fertilizer so they can give all the nutrients. And the one that can give nitrogen and phosphorus is called P fertilizer or KP fertilizer or NK fertilizer. This one they give double nutrients. But the one that is commonly used that's advisable is what we call NPK. NPK fertilizer is mixed fertilizer or compound fertilizer or complex fertilizer. And the fertilizer will give nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium at the same time. But sometimes the farmer may also want to be logical by considering the ratio of this fertilizer that he applies, depending on what is lacking on his farm. So we have different ratios. We have ratio NPK, ratio 5, 10, 15. We have ratio 15, 15, 15. And the other ratio, 5-10 ratio means ratio 1 to 2 to 3. That means it contains more of potassium than any other ones. And then more of potassium than nitrogen. But if it's ratio 50-50-15, that means they have the same capacity, there is the same concentration. So you look at it, if it's nitrogen that you need, you can say ratio 5/5 or 5/10, depending on the quantity that you needed. Okay, how do we apply the fertilizer on the farm? How do we apply fertilizer on the farm? Now, there are about 4 methods to apply fertilizer on the farm, depending on the time of application and the type of fertilizer you are dealing with, as well as the type of the crops you are dealing with. There are about 4 methods. We have what we call the broadcasting method. What do I call it? Yes, broadcasting method. Broadcasting method. We have what we call the ring hole method. Ring hole method. We call it what we call the side placement, side or band placement. So we have side placement, or we call it band placement. Then the other thing we call one foliar spray, foliar spray, foliar spray. These are the methods that we use to apply fertilizer on the farm. But it's good for me to measure a particular term which you have in your textbooks, which you could have met before you've been seeing. So we call it top dressing. Top dressing. I'll talk about top dressing later. Now let's look at the other methods. Broadcasting method. Okay, before I look at this method again, it's good for you to understand something. Fertilizer can be applied at different times on the farm. It can be applied just after you planted, before the seeds emerge. Then it can be planted after it has emerged. If it's just before you plant or after you planted, before the seeds emerge, before it's sprout, before germination, we call that type of application, we call it pre-emergence application. Pre-emergence, that's before emergence, before the seed germinates, pre-emergence application. But if you have already grown your crops, application, they have grown your crops and the crops are already growing crops, and you want to apply fertilizer, that one is called post-emergence. You should understand this because it's going to affect the type of method you are going to use. Post-emergence application. Now, if you want to do pre-emergence, what does that mean? That's when I want to plant my maize. Before I plant my maize, or after I plant my maize crops, but before they come out of the soil, I can now take my fertilizer and broadcast it. Broadcasting. I'll put it on everywhere on the farm. Spread it without any minding of spacing. Put it anyhow on the floor, on the ground of the farmland. That is called pre-emergence application. It cannot harm the plants because the plant have not germinated. Broadcasting method can only be used as a pre-emergence. That means you apply it before you plant or shortly after you have planted before it germinates. Good. But these other 3 methods, they are post-emergence. What is ring hole method? Now, your plant that is standing straight on the farmland, you dig a hole, you make a little hole around it. Like let's say I'm a plant standing, you dig hole around about me, and then you put the fertilizer or manure inside the hole, and you cover it back with soil. That is ring hole method. It was not touch the plant, but it will go around the hole in the plant. The second one is side placement. It means instead of stressing yourself with the hole round about the plant, you don't do that. You just go to the side of the plant. This is the plant. Just go to one side, open the ground, and put the manure there. When you do that, that is called side or band placement. It does the same work as if to say you are putting it round. Then you have what we call foliar spray. Foliar spray also is unique. You cannot use foliar spray to apply macro minerals on the farm. If you do that, there will be disaster. All the plants will die. Because foliar spray means you mix your fertilizer with water. You spray it on the leaf. The foliar means leaves. Which one do we do like that? We do micro minerals. Micro, those ones like this. Zinc, copper, and iron. If you notice, let me just quickly, I've so finished. If you notice that you need to apply them, you take the micro minerals, you mix with water, and then you spray with the sprayer on the leaves. The last one is top dressing. Top dressing is not a type of fertilizer application. It just means secondary application of fertilizer. Fertilizer mostly are applied twice on the farm. You apply fertilizer when you are growing the leaf, when you just grow the plant, when you just plant the plant so that it can grow by vegetative means. You apply fertilizer. You also apply fertilizer after the thing have grown the leaves, but it is maturing the tuber. Let's assume I want to grow my yam now. When I'm planting my yam, I first of all put cassava, maybe NPK. I put 200 kg per hectare. 200 kg means 4 bags of fertilizer, and that will enable proper leaf formulation, shoot grow formulation. Then when the yam is now growing tuber, I will now apply it again. But what I'm going to apply must be half a dosage of what I applied initially. This half a dosage is called top dressing. Top dressing, that's secondary application of fertilizer. And it must be half dosage of the one you put. This half dosage will enable proper tuber formation if it's in yam. If it is in maize, it will enable proper fruit formation. So that is the inorganic manuring and how they are applied. Put together, we are able to look at plant nutrients, which include macro minerals and the micro minerals. We are able to see that macro minerals are needed in large quantity, while micro or trace or minor are required in smaller quantities. We have seen the examples, and then we have now seen again that we can apply them on the farm through different means. These are methods of replenishing organic matter, and then we can apply crop rotation, organic matter. So I've explained everything. I believe with this you are well prepared to understanding. So yes, I've finished everything. I've finished it. It was when I finished this one that I remember I did not teach this one. That I quickly pick it. I've taught this one, then I jumped in. Then I finished. I didn't explain this. Okay, I've finished now. Okay, let me round up everything, Abi. Okay, good. So in writing up of plant nutrients, you have macro minerals and micro minerals. I've listed them on the board. This one is required. The macro minerals are required in large quantity, while micro minerals are required in a smaller quantity. Then I've equally told you that ways by which you can replenish the soil nutrients: crop rotation, organic manuring, which are broken to 3: green manure, fire manure, compost manure. Then bush fallowing, which means you allow your crops to stay on the farm, and after you have planted them for a while, you go to a new place, allow the land to fallow. Cover cropping, liming, inorganic manuring, which I just explained. And then these are ways by which the soil lost its nutrients. When we come next class, we look at nutrient cycle. I believe you had a very good class. Don't hesitate to go back to your video. Should you not be able to answer some of the questions that will come up on your system or on your screen. God bless you.